Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Rocket Chiro Podcast, a business and marketing podcast for chiropractors. Welcome again to our series for new chiropractors and chiropractors who are struggling. This is the fifth podcast in the series. We're going to talk today about external marketing, just reaching new people, why it's important, and just some things to take into consideration, different paths that you can take. Now, this is a huge topic, and ultimately what works for you is going to be most likely very different than what works for somebody else. There are so many options that are out there that are available to chiropractors, which is a good thing. But on the flip side of it, it could be a little bit overwhelming. And it's important to just understand your options and look at yourself, look at your opportunities in a realistic light, and then make good decisions. Now, before I get too far into this, I do want to just encourage you to go back and listen to the episode kind of 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this series. We're going to have more coming. I'm actually not 100% sure how many are going to be in this series. I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere around 10. But this whole thing is going to be for you. And I want to encourage you that if you're getting started or if you're feeling a little bit stuck, to just stick with it. There's going to be things in here that are going to get you thinking, get the wheels turning, and hopefully get you heading in the right direction. If you want some additional help, you can go to Rocket Chiro and check out my Next Step program. We can work one-on-one together, or you can check out the Rocket Chiropractic websites. If you want a better website, I'll be glad to help you in that area as well. So one of the things that I do, like I have a free assessment that I do with chiropractors where people that want me to look at their websites or their local search engine optimization, they want me to look at it and give me an assessment. I do that for chiropractors all the time. I don't charge for it. It's just something that I do that helps me provide value. And it also, honestly, it helps me get new clients because people will hear what I have to say. There's oftentimes things that I can specifically help them with. So it's one of the things that I do. There's two questions that I generally ask when I do a practice assessment. One of those questions is this chiropractor being found? Now, I'm generally looking at it from a search engine optimization standpoint, but the reality is there are lots of ways for a chiropractor to be found. This could be online, offline. It could be billboards. It could be word of mouth. It could be referrals. It could be word of mouth referrals, the same thing, right? It could be reviews. It could be search engine optimization. It could be a lot of different things. There are tons of ways to be found. The bottom line is, if you're going to be a successful chiropractor, unless you happen to have a well-established practice that has been around for a very long time and you have tons of just regulars that that your practice is built on, unless that's the case, which if that's the case, I do not know why you're listening to this podcast. But if that's not the case, you have to constantly be introducing yourself to new people. One of the things that needs to happen this month is that someone needs to find out about your practice that did not know about your practice last month. And that is true for next month and the month after that and the month after that. There needs to be this constant introduction of yourself and your practice in some way, shape, or form, and hopefully in multiple ways that is bringing people into the funnel. And I don't love using sales terms and sales terminology when talking about patients because I really do think that patient care and what the patient needs should be more important than making a sale and closing a patient. But the reality is that kind of funnel visual does make a lot of sense in this situation where the number of people that are going to become, let's say, long-term patients, because I don't know what it is about some like chiropractic coaches and consultants and whatever, and you'll hear this idea that everybody stays, pays, and refers. Like I went to a talk and not only did all 10 people sign up for care and prepay for the year, but they also signed up 10 other people that weren't even in the room. Like you'll hear stuff like that. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm no good. Maybe I'm terrible. In my experience, that has not been the case. And when dealing with human beings, it doesn't seem realistic unless they were lied to or promised something that's not true, which is like lying or scared to death. I guess there's ways. I would not encourage you as a new chiropractor to have the expectation that every single person you interact with from a marketing standpoint is going to become a patient. Not only is that person going to become a patient, but they're going to bring in their entire family. And not only are they going to bring in their entire family, but they are going to pay cash. They're going to prepay cash for the entire year of care, and they're never going to go anywhere ever. They're always going to be a great patient. If that's your expectation, you're going to be really disappointed with chiropractic. You're going to be really disappointed with life. People don't generally work that way. And so taking into consideration that if we look at this funnel and we say there's if the absolute bottom of the funnel is those perfect people that stay, pay, and refer, and they're wonderful and they're great and they're amazing and they're awesome. If we go up a level, there's people that kind of that are here for a little while, then they leave or they come and go. There are people that are in for a few times. And as you kind of work there are more people that come in for a first visit than you're going to have people that stick around for a week. That's just true. There are more people that go to your website than people who schedule an appointment. There are going to be more people at your talk than people who schedule an appointment. There are going to be more people that you interact with in your community than are going to schedule an appointment and become a patient and stay, pay, and refer. There's sort of a natural funneling that happens with all businesses. It's not just your business as a chiropractor, and it doesn't make you a bad business. And if you go back to the second podcast, I think it was the second one that we did, where we talked about not everybody is your patient, understanding who you are, who you help, what's the value you provide. I talked about the fact that what should happen is you should be attracting the people that are a great fit for your practice, and you should sort of be pushing away the people that aren't. That's just good marketing. So that philosophy in and of itself will tell you that there's going to be a natural funneling that happens before we get down to those people that are going to be those core people for your practice. What that means, and I'm sort of getting sidetracked here, what that means is we constantly need to be introducing ourselves to people in the community because we don't know who those people are going to be. We don't know who's going to be a good networking partner. We don't know who's going to be a good patient long-term. We don't know who's going to stay, pay, and refer. We don't know who's going to be around for years, and we don't know who's going to be around for just a few days. We don't know any of that. But we do know that they won't ever become a patient of yours if they don't know that you exist. And I will tell you this, if we could flip a switch and magically every single person within driving distance of your practice just was aware of you, they knew you existed and they knew what problem you solved. If that were the case, you would probably never have a new patient problem because you would have enough people in the kind of the top of that funnel. And as you kind of go through your process, there would be enough to sustain your practice. So we're back to this idea as you look at your practice, and whether it's looking at your website, looking at social media, or whatever that is, whatever your goals are for your practice, whatever you want it to look like, there has to be an avenue, there has to be a channel, and hopefully multiple channels where new people are meeting you who didn't know about you before. If you say to yourself, and I'll kind of give you a way that this is a mistake, is if a chiropractor says to themselves, I'm brand new, I'm new to the area, my practice is 6 months old. And I say, what's your ideal practice? Well, I want to have a referral practice. Great. Like, what's the plan until you get to that point? Because if not all your patients are going to refer. And if you only got 7 patients and one of them's a refer, you're going to starve to death before you have a referral practice. It's just not going to happen. You got to have a better plan than that. If someone were to say to me, if somebody approached me and they said, hey, I want you to help me with reputation management. I want you to help me get more reviews from my patients. Hey, how long's your practice been around? How many patients you got? Oh, my practice is a year old. I got 50 patients. And I would say like, hey, do you really think that leaning heavily on a reputation management service when you only have 50 patients, do you think that's a good investment of your money? Because not everybody's going to leave a review. So let's say you're spending $200, $300, $400 a month for some sort of reputation management service help, and you're getting 1 review every 3 months. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a great use of money. Because you don't have enough people. Now, it may make a ton of sense down the road. Maybe you decide you never need something like that, but it may make a ton of sense down the road if you have a big practice and you have lots of people. So your strategy has to make sense. It has to make sense for where you are in your practice. It has to make sense for where you are budget-wise. I mean, a lot of things, this is hard for introverts because, I'm an introvert. It's difficult for me to do like new things. It's difficult for me to introduce myself to new people. Like it's always hard. And it just really grinds up against my introvert nature. But the reality is when you're first getting started and you probably have more time than you have money, you got to go do a lot of things that are really difficult for an introvert. Now, the good news is if you do those things well, you don't have to keep doing them forever. But if you're getting started, you got no money and you're new into an area, you're going to have to go introduce yourself to people. You're going to have to go hit the streets a little bit. You're going to have to do some grassroots stuff, because if you're sitting around saying to yourself as an introvert, oh, I'm going to have Jerry do my website and that's going to be good enough. When you're just getting started, you got no reviews, you have no domain authority. And I know some of this stuff probably doesn't make any sense to you, but you have no domain authority. Your citations are garbage. It's a brand new URL. And then you're like, oh, I'll have Jerry do my website and I'll get people through search engine optimization. And I would tell you that's a bad strategy. Not that having me do your website right out of the gate is a bad strategy. But if you think that when you don't have any of the pieces in place that are going to get you to the top of Google, when you think that you're going to be at the top of the Google and that's where your patients are coming from, that's a bad strategy. So I want to encourage you, no matter where you are in practice, if you're just getting started or whatever, you need to look at your marketing and say, what am I doing internally? Like, do I have internal marketing going on where I am getting more referrals, getting more reviews, getting outreach from my existing people? Because that's a form of marketing. Is it possible that more people could know about me this month than last month because of internal marketing? Because I have some people already, even if it's just a few, I have approached them in a way, or I've created opportunities for them to become referrals or leave reviews or whatever. Am I actively doing some sort of internal marketing to meet new people? Next, external marketing. Am I doing external marketing? Now that could be SEO. It could be online ads. It could be grassroots. It could be BNI. It could be chamber. It could be knocking on doors. It could be showing up at other businesses and introducing yourself. It could be passing out flyers. It could be billboards. There's tons of ways to do external marketing. But you could have the best process in the world, and the best website in the world, and if we're not answering that first question, are people finding you? How are they finding you? If that critical piece is missing, you're never going to get any further in your practice. There has to be a way that new people are finding you. People need to know about you this month that didn't know about you last month. And if that's not happening, that's a problem. Could be social media. Retention marketing. Retention marketing is when you have people that are patients, and this is not meeting new people. This is sort of like reintroducing yourself to old people. And we talked about this on the last podcast where we talked about follow-up. But that's a form of marketing where you're sort of reaching back out to people that you've had a relationship before and reconnecting with them. That's bringing kind of new old people back into the practice again. There's long-term marketing, short-term marketing, online marketing, offline marketing. The point of all of that is, one, that you have a proper perspective. You understand, what exactly am I doing? How is this supposed to work? And does this make sense for where I'm at in practice? And is this currently helping me meet new people? Now, I'll tell you some really, really good news. There's such a thing as marketing momentum. There's such a thing. This happens with authority marketing, meaning like the longer you're in a community, the more you have a reputation, like all of those things. There's a momentum that goes along with that. There's referral momentum. There's review momentum. There's social media momentum. So many things that when you do them really, really well, and you're taking care of people and you're doing things right, practice gets easier. But initially, when you're first starting out, you have to look very honestly at your situation and say, is my practice being introduced to new people? And if it's not, how do I make it happen? Because you're the leader, you're the captain of the ship. You got to make it happen, because you're going to run out of time and you're going to run out of money if you're sitting around waiting for people to find your amazing website. And nothing wrong with having an amazing website. And your website could be the most amazing website in terms of conversion of any website that exists. But if only 6 people find it over the next 3 months, there's an inflow problem. You could be the best, you could have the best report of findings and the best exam and the best new patient process and the best everything within the context of the four walls of your practice. But if the phone doesn't ring, if nobody calls, if nobody checks in, if nobody's referring, if there's nothing happening on the getting like introduction to your business process, that is an absolute killer for a new business. If you've been in practice for 15, 20 years and you have a well-established patient base and you have a bunch of regulars, then this is probably not really much of an issue. But like I said, you're probably not listening to this podcast. So just make sure that as you're getting started and there's a million things that you're doing, that you don't neglect the fact that people have to start learning about your practice in some way, shape, or form. You have to be introducing yourself to new people into that process. And there's a whole different conversation that could be had about what does that funnel look like? What does that process look like? You know, is your website taking people from non-patient to patient? There's all kinds of conversations to be had, but it starts with hello, starts with introduction, starts with the hi. How are people finding out that you exist and that you can help them? All right, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you want help, check out my Next Step program at rocketchiro.com. If you want a better website, check out the Rocket Chiropractic websites. I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you on the next episode. See ya.